Starting a new SMMA is the easiest thing in the world, but a lot of people overcomplicate it, and this is why 90% of those who try never actually succeed. They don't even get started. But what if I told you that you could set up an entirely new SMMA from scratch in about 4 hours, or maybe 6-7 hours if you want to really take your time with a couple of things. Either way, you could sit down one afternoon, one concentrated session of deep focus work, and actually build your entire SMMA, which is going to teach you more than any course ever will, and which is basically going to show you the entire process from registering all the way through to being able to contact potential buyers, clients for your business, and actually acquiring your first clients. Would you believe me? Well, I have behind me the list of the minimum viable product. So all the items required in order to have a fully functioning agency. And we're going to dive in and I'm going to walk you through every single tab. And I'm going to give you an estimate of how long this is going to take. We've literally finished up setting up a second agency in the last 30 days. And I'm going to show you exactly all of the tools that you require just so I can take a bit of the mental load off of you. And if you're confused by any of the steps, then this is going to help you understand how the whole thing should work together. So let's dive right in and actually look at it together. Okay, so here we are. This is the top level list of everything that's required in a nutshell to build this thing from the ground up. It's a minimum viable product. Once again, to remember that and to bear it in mind. The whole point of this is to show you and give you clarity on the process, which is super streamlined so that you don't end up dreading it for years like I did. Things like building up a landing page or setting up an email list or any weakest link, because this thing is only as strong as its weakest link, and our weakest link is usually the entrepreneur that needs to be scaled, aka you. So you can dread it for years, you can hide, you can run away and try and find shortcuts, or you can just sit down for 4 hours, 6 hours of deep work and actually get this entire thing done in one go. Literally, that's how simple it is. And anyone that tells you otherwise, well, take it with more than just a pinch of salt. Okay, so that being said, the goal to bear in mind is to be profitable ASAP. It's not about brand building. It's not about building a perfect agency. Your first agency is not going to be your last agency. Your first business is not going to be your last business. The whole idea is to earn and to learn. And to do that, you need to throw your hat over the wall and actually figure it out like fast. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in and we're going to look at how quickly it is to register a company. Here in the UK, if you want to register a company, you can actually kill two birds with one stone. You are going to need a bank account as well. What you can do is you can use Tide's free company registration, which is super smart. Basically, they're going to register the company for you, and they're also going to pay the £12 incorporation fee. And there are all kinds of smart offers like these no matter what country you're in, because these guys have figured out that if they're going to try and sell bank accounts to business owners, they're going to be competing in keywords that are very competitive further down the funnel. Instead, what they do is they try and nip you earlier on, so they give you all these clever advantages like to pay the incorporation fee for you. So amazing, go for it, take them up on this offer, and this is going to take literally 10 minutes to enter the company name, to verify if it's available, choose between LTD and limited, and that's it. This process is literally, no kidding, 10 minutes long. And once you have that set up, by the way, the caveat here is to remember that once you first start out, this is just a nice to have. It's not even necessary. It's not a must. You have two other options available, which are one, to register as self-employed. In order to do that, you go to the government website and you can basically check how to do it. You are self-employed. You haven't registered before, and it will basically tell you if you do need to register or not. The thing to be said about this is that actually there is a caveat here. There is a benefit if you're just starting out. You don't even need to register until you've made £1,000. So in theory, you don't even need this. This is just if you want to do things in the right order, by the book, because sooner rather than later, since you are obviously setting yourself up for success, not for failure, you are going to smash right through that 1K. That 1K is going to be your first, if not your second sale in total cumulatively. So you want to get that registered and done. Again, this process is going to take no longer than 20 minutes, so super easy. This is how easy it is to find the way to start on the government's website. Once you have that, you move on to buy the domain. To buy a domain, again, the easiest thing in the world, you can buy it on Google Domains. I like to buy them on Google Domains, even if they are now owned by Squarespace. Again, this is something you can probably do in 5-10 minutes for what, $9, £9, something like that. New SMMA.co.uk. You could literally buy that now for £16 for a whole year. and that's going to take another 5 minutes. Like, this is how easy these things are. And of course, you are going to want to build a website on this thing. GHL, Go High Level, is super famous as a tool right now. Everyone uses it. It used to be ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is still great. Lead Pages, Unbounce, any website that you can use to build a simple lander is enough for you to start going out to get new clients. You don't need a website, by the way. You could skip straight to outreach. You can get your first clients without a website. That's what I did when I got my first clients. But if you did want to get Go High Level, which is a pretty good tool in the sense that it has everything in it, such as the CRM, so you can connect your lead list to it, so you can nurture your contacts, you can stay across your revenue. You've heard about it. There's no need for me to go into detail about this. Once you do that, you can literally get someone's snapshot. A snapshot is essentially a clone of a Go High Level account that can be imported into another account via any unique link, which means you will basically have a fully functioning website within a few minutes. So again, this stuff is online. I've done a quick Google search and I found this guy who's creating snapshots, and there's snapshots for all kinds of niches: chiro, attorney, pest control, CrossFit, restaurant, and so on and so forth. There's one for marketing agency as well. And you just get started on these things and you import them in your Go High Level account, and there you go, you have your website. Alternatively, you can build a new website entirely for free. You can use Google Sites. How easy it is? Well, it's a drag and drop. The tutorial is here at a glance. It's as simple as adding a page into the domain you just purchased, and you can have that thing built on templates. I put this at a roughly 30 minutes to 1 hour just to have a quick, simple lander where you're going to basically say what you're about and what niche you're servicing and your offer, because that's what you need. And this is just in case anyone checks you out. You're not going to actually use this to outreach to anyone. This is just so you can actually have let's say a hub on the internet if anyone ever wants to look you up. Now, that is the easiest thing to do because you have all these drag and drop tools, because you have all these snapshots, and there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have a website. But that being said, you could theoretically just leave that aside and build a Facebook page, an Instagram profile, maybe even a LinkedIn business page, and use those to outreach. So next, moving forward, this is where you would set up a bank account, but we've already done that in step 1, remember? So we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We basically get the bank account and the domain registered together. So that's not going to add any additional time. You move on to have a Stripe account. You could get by without a Stripe account. You could take payments straight into your bank account, but that would add a bit more friction when people have to pay, especially when you're in sales calls with them. It goes without saying, if you can throw a link in the chat and then they can go and pay in that link, then it makes all the sense that you can do this. Some banks provide links for payment within their apps. I believe Revolut does it. Tide might do as well, in which case you can use those to create payable invoices. Alternatively, just set up a Stripe account, which is going to take no longer than 5 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes to connect it to your bank as well, and that's basically that. The next thing you're going to want is, of course, create your Facebook profile, your Instagram profile. Super easy, super straightforward. I don't think this needs no introduction by this point. You go to Facebook/pages and you create your page in virtually 2 minutes. And the same with your Instagram. You go to Instagram getting started and you basically create your new IG profile. The important thing to mention here is that you do not need a ton of followers, likes, any of that engagement on your page before you can actually outreach. Objectively speaking, think of how many times you actually click on profiles when you see an ad. Some people do, yes, it's true, but not all of them. And when it comes to servicing businesses, local businesses that need leads, oftentimes these guys, all they care about is the offer. So you don't really need to worry about that too much. That being said, if you want to introduce an hour or two to create some content around this is going to be a bit of a task. Indeed, it's going to take a minute to create a couple of reels, a couple of images. I definitely recommend that, so you can actually have a few objections preempted by those reels and by those single images. So think about your ideal niche, your ideal customer. Try and think about the things they're going to ask you in sales calls. You might already have some inclinations as to what they're going to be asking, and make a few reels on that. They can be really simple. You really don't need to overthink this. When I created my IG the first time around, I just made a bunch of reels with my phone. I caption them in Instagram. Now you can use other tools to caption them and just have them there populated so you can actually show people what you're about. In this case, this was for service local business providers, and that's basically it. The minimum viable product is ready, and you can use this to outreach. Next, this is an interesting one, and this one took me quite a while to wrap my head around, more internally from a case of limiting beliefs, but from a tech standpoint as well. This is the emails outreach automation system. You can get business with email. Email is not dead, it works wonders. And the way to do that is you go to a website like Apollo or Lead Finder or D7. Basically, these guys offer leads. They get leads off LinkedIn, these ones in particular, and you can get started for free. It's going to take you 1 minute to set up an account. It's going to take you 2-3 minutes to use keywords and filters, kind of like in this image here, to basically put together a list of your ideal customers. And then you would normally pay for this. You don't actually have to pay for it. What you can do is use a scraper to scrape all of those emails and create your first list, because the first list is so important. It's worth its weight in gold. Once you have a list, once you have a tool to automate an email sequence, you're starting to do outreach. You're starting to do outreach for the first time ever, potentially, and that's going to start such an amazing journey for you. So what do you need for that? You need Apollo. You need Magically Genius. This is a website which I know doesn't look that legit, but I've used it already a ton. It's very reliable. You can buy 10,000 scrapes for $30, and you use this in conjunction with your list and your link from Apollo. Once you've generated that list, you put it in here and you basically scrape that whole thing, and you now have a list. You have a scraped list. That will take you about 5 to 10 minutes wait time whilst these guys scrape this thing for you. Once you have that, you can finally start thinking about automation. Instantly is the software by default now. Everyone uses this thing. It's literally 2 minutes to set it up, to set up your account. And this is what you're going to use to automate your email sequence, which, it means you're going to send one email, you're going to send a follow-up email, you're going to A/B test your copy. There's a lot of templates, there's a lot of structure, there's a lot of tutorials out there on how you can set this thing up. The copy itself shouldn't take you longer than half an hour to basically take off a tutorial online and apply and start seeing results. The more interesting part here, the technical bit, is the actual underlying machinery of how this works, how you make your emails not land in people's spam, how you are able to actually increase and improve your deliverability. And this all comes down to setting up your SPF, DMARC, and DKIM. There are a lot of tutorials online. Again, this is free online. You can actually find it on Instantly's forum. You can buy domains. You can set up your Google Workspace, set up these domains, and then your emails and account forwarding, you're warming up all of this in roughly 1 hour and a half. 1 hour and a half if you just follow this tutorial right here. And that's basically it when it comes to Instantly, when it comes to email. And if you're smart about it and you don't want to be bothered with setting out all of this for yourself, although I do recommend you do it at least once so you understand the entire process, you can go on Fiverr and you can pay for someone to do it for you for what, $20, something like that. Extremely easy, a very repetitive, predictable process. Nothing scientific, nothing complicated about it, but it does need to be done. And whilst that's getting done, you basically create a workspace where you're going to be connecting your domains and your users. And this is not going to take any longer than 20-30 minutes either. So you can see that basically all of these tasks are just tiny tasks that take little to no time. Together, yes, maybe they add up to 4 or 5 hours of time to set it all up. One thing I forgot to mention, when you get email lists from Apollo, once you scrape them, you do need to validate them. Even if Apollo and other email aggregators, other lead generating websites, leads lists, I guess, say that they're verified, they're often not. So you're going to want to run them through something like a bulk email checker to make sure that they're valid, that they're not dead emails, so that your emails end up bouncing and then that affects your score on your domains. And that is basically it. Start to finish, you can have this entire thing set up in 4 to 6 hours as a minimum viable product. And from there, you can start outreaching. You can start outreaching and you can start building a list of potential customers, start having some sales conversations, and then you've basically started and threaded into the new territory, which is sales. This shouldn't be daunting. This shouldn't take long because, as you can see, all of the tools are online. All of the tutorials are online as well. You know that. I know that. The only thing that's stopping you, if anything at all, in any of these steps is your ability to focus, to sit down and to get this deep work done. And obviously, maybe on some extent, the understanding of how it all works and whether it really genuinely works. And I can guarantee you that this thing works. It works for us. It works for clients that we've worked with, we work with right now. This is how everyone does it. Stop thinking that there's a magical way that someone knows that you don't. It really comes down to the first principles, to the fundamentals. It's either email, it's either DM automation, or it's cold calling, or it's inbound ads and content. That's it. These are the pillars. So I hope this helps. This gives you a quick run through at a glance. It shows you how all the pieces come together and roughly the time estimate required for each of them. If any questions, ask away. And if not, then take this straight into practice right now. Go back from the start. Set up all of your tabs in one browser and actually go through it, every single one of them. You don't even need to do it all in one go. You can do it in 2 sittings, 2 afternoons, although I highly encourage you that you sit down and get it done once. Once you do it once, the second time, if you ever have to do it again, if you want to change niches, if you want to diversify, if you want to scale, it's going to be second nature. It's the first time that's a bit more daunting, as is with everything else. Don't expect it to feel smooth and natural from the start, because there are a few minute details and things that need to be paid attention to at each step of the way. But fundamentally, this is basically it. So yeah, good luck. Hope this helps, and until next time.